Hello, hello, hello. It's Erin with Lady Poe Designs. I know, guys, it's been a while. Life has been tough. It has been rough. But you know what? It's okay. Everybody's doing okay. Today, we've got some patriotic DIYs for you, so we're going to dive into these and let's get into the fun stuff. So first up, we've got just a scrap piece of wood that I had out in my garage, and then a bunch of spindles. These are just end pieces of spindles that I've cut off either making my spindle boxes or that I've had laying around. So I'm just going to give them a little scuff sand, and I'm going to cover them with the clear salvation solution from DIY, just to make sure that none of the tannins come through, because some of them still have the old stain on them. I'm going to go ahead and cover the scrap wood too, because that's an old piece of wood. Then we're going to go in with White Swan. We're only using 3 colors throughout this entire video for the most part. White Swan, Hey Sailor, and Marquee. So I'm going to cover this with White Swan. And I'm going to cover some of the pieces of the spindles with all 3 colors. You can probably tell from the beginning credits what I'm making. I'm going to make a little firework stand thingy. So now I'm just painting up my fireworks. So I'm just going to paint different sections of each one with the White Swan. Same thing with the Hey Sailor. And I'm going to do the same thing with the Marquee. And I get all of my DIY products from Sammie at Unicorn Dust Designs. Let's not forget to keep her in our thoughts right now, her and the baby. So if y'all need anything from her website, that will be linked down below. I'm going to go in with the Marquee and paint everything that wasn't White Swan or Hey Sailor. Probably left a little bit too much of this painting in, huh? I didn't have any star stencils, so I got out some old snowflake stencils that I had, and they had stars on them. So you know what? You use what you got. So I cut them up and used the stars that these already had in them, so I didn't have to make them on my Cricut. So I'm going to use the little baby stars and just put stars around the little, I don't know what you call that, beveled part of the 2 that are alike. And to me, they kind of look like little hats in a way, because I actually go in and put lines on them. So they almost kind of look like Uncle Sam's hat. When I started putting the lines on them, I was like, oh my gosh, that's kind of cool, actually. Didn't even mean to do that, but it actually turned out pretty cute. So I'm just decorating these up. I'm going to do the other one the same, just different color. And then with the alchemy stamps, I'm going to take the U, the S, and the A. And I left one of them, the very front of them, solid white. So I'm going to go in with actually, no, I don't stamp on the white one. I'm sorry. I stamp on the blue one and the red one. I don't know what I was thinking. But I'm going to use the white mixing ink and stamp USA on the bottom of these. But I do leave one of them white. It's been a while since I made these. I'm sorry. Oh, we've been through it. My husband was in a wreck, and I got COVID, and yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. So I appreciate all the kind comments and everything on the community posts. I appreciate everything. But we're going to continue stamping these just with a little USA on both sides, just in case somebody looks at the back. And on this one, I just did dots, like with my dotting tool around the bottom with some red and some blue. And then on the base of them, I didn't know really what I was going to do, and I didn't want to stamp all over it. So I was like, I'll just make some fireworks. So I just did some kind of squiggly offset lines. I was like, yeah, sure, that looks good. So I made these kind of look like fireworks and then just put little dots everywhere. On the red one, I used the white and the blue and vice versa. White one did the opposite, used the red and the blue. But this did not take me long at all to do these. This would be a really fun project to do with some kids. Let them paint their own fireworks and let them design them and then put them on their little stand, put the the fuse at the top. I think it would be really fun to do. This is the one that I left white, and I just put some dots around the top. And then I had a bigger star. I just lined stars all the way up the front. So put 3 on the bottom and then 3 on the top. So the base, I kind of left a little bit plain, and I was like, I really don't want to do much to it. So I took some of the Marquee and just kind of dry brushed it around the edge, kind of made it have a little bit of a lip when it really didn't have one. Just to give it, I don't know, I just felt like it needed something. And then I took the Hey Sailor and just dry brushed that on both ends just so it wouldn't be stark white. I think I felt like I put too much, but sanding some of it off, and I am going to distress it a little bit. But then we're going to cover everything with liquid patina. And I'm going to put a piece of tape on my drill bit. That's a good trick if you want to know how far down to drill when you're drilling multiple holes. I'm going to drill a little hole in the top of each of these spindles, and I didn't want to go down very far. So just put a little piece of tape, and that's how far you go down. I'm going to get the wired jute string that you get from Dollar Tree and just kind of twirl it around a paintbrush and glue that in the little holes so it'll keep its shape. So now I'm deciding how I want to set these up, how I want them to look. And then with some Gorilla Glue and hot glue, I'm going to glue these down to the base. I figured I would miss terribly if I tried to brad nail these in, so I used nail glue. Or not nail glue, the Gorilla Glue. So I got all those glued down. And then I figured it needed just something else. So I got out my ribbons, and we're going to make a little bow for it. See how cute? it's really cute just like that, but it just needed something else. So I got out my ribbons and I took the wire out of the ones that had wire in them. You can just pull them out of the sides. And I had some red ticking ribbon. I had some different kind of jute twine ones. I had some blue ticking. I had all kinds of different kinds. Different kinds of jute twine, some different striped twines, the blue and the red. So we're just going to make a messy bow. We're just going to stack these up. I don't think I have to explain how to make a messy bow to y'all. I think y'all know how to do that. I am going to cut this one in half because it was a little bit too wide, but you can cut that in half and then just pull out the strings to kind of make it look like the other side. But I do dovetail the ones that are solid. And then stack them all up. And then with the extra string, I'm just going to tie it real tight in the middle. And then during Christmas, I bought a big pack of these rusty stars and acorns and bells. So I'm going to get one of the rusty stars. I'm making the hole bigger because I couldn't fit the jute twine through it. But I'm going to lace the jute twine through the little star and wrap that around the front of it to kind of finish off the middle of the bow. So we're going to tie that down. Kind of glue it in place. And then with the Gorilla Glue and a little bit of hot glue, put that down on the corner. And I think it turned out super cute. This is how it turned out. I love my little firecracker stands. Tell me what y'all think in the comments. Okay, so our next one is just a welcome sign from Dollar Tree. I was actually very lucky and able to use my heat gun and get the welcome part off in one piece. Thanks to my husband, he helped me. I was gonna try to get it off with my spatula or scraper thingy. And he was like, why don't you just heat it up with the heat gun? And I'm like, oh my God, I love you. Turned my husband into a crafter. Yeah. But as you can see, I painted that with the Hello Sailor, or Hey Sailor, excuse me. And now I'm going around the edge of it and painting it the same with the Hey Sailor. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish on the back of it, make it complete in case somebody flips it over. You know, got to make it complete. Then we're going to go in with the Marquee and the dark hashes. I'm going to paint those red. So the ones that are lighter wood, this is not real wood, it's laminate, right? But the lighter color ones, I'm just going to leave that color. But the darker ones, I am going to paint the red. So now I've got my itty bitty stars. I've got a ton of these. I think it came in a pack of like 500 that I've had forever. But I'm going to tape these down so I can paint them white with the white Swan. While those are drying, I'm going to wet distress the sign, all of the paint that I have on there, the Hey Sailor and the Marquee, just so some of that artificial wood peeks back through. I'm going to take the jute twine that was on it off because I want to make my own on there. So I'm going to go ahead and give this whole thing a coat of liquid patina so I lock in all of this chalk paint so it's not going to go anywhere. Then I've got some striped beads that I'm just staining with the Dark and Decrepit, and then some that I'm painting white. And I'm going to use those on the hanger that I'm going to replace. And I'm going to take some of the white Swan and just dry brush it over the welcome part. And then, of course, seal that in with the liquid patina. And I wanted it to stand up more on the actual sign. So I glued popsicle sticks to the back of it so it would stand up more. Now these markers, these are actually chrome markers. They're not just silver. My husband got them for me a long time ago, and I don't even know where he got them from. But they came in a pack of 3, and each one of them has a different tip. One is real sharp, one is blunt, and then one is real flat and blunt. But I'm going to use this and go around the side of every single one of these stars, which took me forever. Oh my god. I kind of regretted it when I was halfway through it, but you can see it kind of gives it a reflective chrome finish, obviously. But I also do that to the welcome part of the sign. So we're going to put the stars all lining the welcome. So with the Gorilla Glue, we're going to lay down the little stars with my tweezers so I don't have to get it all over my fingers, and put all those down. So with just, I think this is actually baker's twine that I got in a huge roll from Walmart, but it's white or like a cream color, but I tied a couple of knots so the wood beads wouldn't fall down past a certain point on it. And then I'm stapling it to the back. So it'll keep like the middle section right there. It won't fall past that. And then with the Gorilla Glue, we're going to glue the sign down, or the welcome part of the sign, welcome sign down. And this is how it turned out. This was super cool, super easy. This was a Dollar Tree sign that I just felt like it needed some stars and stripes. And I think it turned out really cute. And you can hang it without the beads, or you can hang it with them. Tell me what y'all think. So the next one, we've got some old barnwood, and we're going to make a big old sign. Okay. So I busted out my Cricut and did some lettering and wrote out America, y'all. That's my Texan coming out. And then it also had some glasses, some like Bruce Springsteen style glasses that had the stars and stripes. But before that, we're going to take some Hey Sailor and just add a little bit of color to this board. I don't want to fully cover it because I love the color of it. I love the natural patina that this wood has. So I didn't want to fully cover it. So we're going to do a very heavy, not heavy actually, very light dry brush on this. So I tried to start at the sides and kind of feather it in, but that wasn't working. So I just kind of went in and just just dry brushed the whole thing. I pulled it around to the sides a little bit. Just to give it some color so the white will pop, because we're going to stencil the letters in white. But I wanted it to just have some color. But I did not want to cover all that wood. It was so pretty. So we put our stencil down, and then we're actually going to do a heavy dry brush of the white swan with just a chippy brush, because I didn't want this to be solid. So I'm just going to go back and forth with my chippy brush, dipping most of it off onto the paper towel, just so I can actually see the outline of the letters, really. So I'm going to do that all the way across, and then we'll pull that stencil up. And it actually came out more clear than I actually wanted it to. And then we're going to lay down the sunglasses and start putting those down. I had to do this one in stages. So I'm going to stencil in the outline of them first, and then go in and take out the middle of it, because I didn't want to cut a huge stencil. So I figured I could just do it in layers. Put down my stripes, and then put down the stars on the other side. And the stars, of course, I'm going to do with just white. I'm going to do those solid white. And then the stripes, take that stencil off first. The stripes I'm going to do with red, of course. And because I didn't want to duplicate this stencil, I just went ahead and took that part off, and then with just a detail brush, I just filled those in with white. I figured it didn't have to be perfect, so. And then once that was done, I took off the rest of the stencil. And there's the sunglasses. Aren't they cute? This was actually made for a hat, and I blew it up. I just loved it. I thought it was cute. So now I've got 5 pieces of pallet boards, actually, that I cut. I didn't measure any of this, y'all. So if you want measurements, let me know. I can put them in the description. This is a pretty big sign. These are probably 18 inches long, but I'm going to paint either one red, white, red, white, red. There's 2 whites, 3 reds. But I'm just dry brushing them. They're just going to hang from the top one. And of course, I'm going to seal everything with liquid patina. And then I've got this leather, I don't know if it's like strapping or like shoelacing. I don't know what it is, really. My husband got it for me. But I'm going to use that to hang it from the sign. So I'm going to drill 2 holes in each of the boards. And of course, match that to the top. Drill 2 holes in the top, and then I'm just going to lace it and just put a knot in the front to where it won't come back out. So I'm just lacing it through the front and knotting it to where you can actually see the knots. So then, of course, I'm going to put a rusty star on each corner. And I used the wire jute twine as the hanger. And this is how it turned out. I love how this sign turned out. It's actually really heavy. It's a lot heavier than I anticipated, but I absolutely love it. This would look really cool on the side of a house. Or even like on the top of your garage. It is very substantial. It's pretty big. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Okay, our last and final one is it's actually going on a cabinet door. I had this print and I got it off of an Etsy site a long time ago, and I could not even begin to tell you what site I got it off of, but it's a thicker paper. It's not like decoupage paper. So what I'm doing is I'm putting packing tape on the back and I'm making the paper thinner, basically. So after I did that across the whole sheet, I'm going to go around and tear the edges. I want this to look very rustic and old. This one I want to look very old, weathered, tethered. I want this sign to look like it's been up for a while. So you can see I start taking chunks out of it. I'll flip it over and then flip it back over and say, okay, I'm going to take another chunk out here. So you can see on the right, I take out quite a bit. So I keep going around until it just looks good to me. And we're doing another cabinet door. I got a bunch of these cabinet doors, so y'all might see a lot of these. But after giving it a little wipe down, cleaned it off, I am going to give it a layer of Salvation solution in the white because I didn't feel like sanding it. It has a recessed part in the middle, and I just figured that would be more of a pain than just coating it with this. So this will work. That's what it's made for. But now we're going to go in with Crinoline. So this, I wanted it to look older, so I didn't want to use White Swan on it. White Swan. So we're going to use Crinoline all around the edges, and we're putting that picture in the middle. So I'm just going to paint the edges. So we're going to go all the way around with the Crinoline. And then with Marquee, I've already penciled in my lines, but we're going to paint in our lines of the flag. So starting the bottom with red and ending at the top with red. Not trying to be perfect here. I'm not even going for full coverage. Just freehanding it. I did mark it off with a pencil, but they're not perfect at all. You can see I'm not even trying to stay straight. I just wanted it to be solid, more or less. But we're going to get all of the red painted, all the red lines painted, or stripes, and then go in with the Hay Sailor. I don't know why my camera kept doing that. I think because the cabinet door was a solid color or a solid white, but it kept going blurry. But we're going to go in with the Hay Sailor and then paint our blue section. So just going right up against that red, just up to where I'm going to be putting that piece of paper. I'm not going to paint the whole back of it. So I'm going to go in with just a damp cloth and wet distress a lot of this back because, like I said, I want it to look old. And I'm going to be doing a lot of distressing on this. Once I've got that the way I want, we're going to go in with liquid patina. And we're going to seal all of this chalk paint in so it doesn't move. because I want it to stay like this. I'm still going to do some more to it, but I definitely want it to stay like this. So now we're going to take DIY's white wax and we're going to put a layer of that over all of the painted areas. And then wipe it back and then put a little bit more on. I go back and forth. So we just want it to have a good coverage because I want it to have that kind of smoky ending to it. So I've got that on there. Now we're going to put the sign on. So we have that in place before we do anything else to the board. So the way I'm going to put this on is I'm going to use clear Elmer's glue. And I'm going to do 50-50 Elmer's glue and water. So I'm going to fill this little thing 50% with just clear glue and then the rest with just plain water. And just mix it together, kind of making my own Mod Podge in a sense, but it's very liquidy. It's the consistency of water, basically. But that's what we're going to lay it down with. And we're going to put it on the top to kind of curl the edges of the paper. So we're going to start just like we do on any decoupage. We're going to start with our little strip and go all the way across and lay it down. I wanted to get it down on the board first before I did anything else. So we got it laid down because, like I said, this is a thicker paper still, even though I took some of it off the back. So now I'm going to start going on the parts that are still sticking up, and see, I'm rolling it on to the paintbrush and I'm coating it with that glue water because I want it to curl. I want it to look like this is peeling off of the board. I want it to look like it's been there for a while. You know what I'm saying? So like it's been an advertisement for, for the post office for years. So I keep my brush wet and I keep wetting the paper to where it's almost tearing. So I'm being very gentle, but I keep curling it over the edge of the brush, and anywhere where it's sticking up, I'll pull it up with the brush. But you can see I just keep working with it. Some places I tear it and stick some of it to the board. Some of it I pick back up with the, you just do whatever you think looks good. And then I put a layer of it on top just to kind of seal it in. See, I wanted another little tear right there, so I'm going to stick that part down, but then I want this other part to be like it's peeling off of the board, and then kind of curl it. So this, I've let it set overnight so it's completely dry. And now I'm going to make like my own little concoction of waxes. So I've got some clear wax, and then I'm going to mix in some dark wax. These are all DIYs. And I started mixing that up, and then I was like, it's still too dark. So I got out the white wax and mixed some of that in with it as well. So it almost made like a beige wax. So it was kind of muddy, kind of dirty. And I was so very happy with that. So I was like, perfect. So that's what I started putting on the paper, on the board. So I wanted to muddy it up, right? I wanted it to look dirty. So I went over the entire board with this kind of dirty wax. went over some of the paper with some sandpaper to take some of that sheen off and to make the paper look weathered and more worn. And then put that wax on top of it. Now, I came in while the wax was still a little damp with the dark and decrepit dust and started using that around in the corners and on the paper as well. And I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but dark and decrepit dust also comes in a white. So you can also make stuff just look ashy. But I started mixing the two and I liked the way it looked. So it made it look more like an authentic dirt, like it was dusty, like it had been on the wall for a while. And then I would put some of the darker dust on top of it, and it just made it look more authentic to me. So I started mixing both of them. So now we're going to get out our rusty stars and lay out the stars for the flag. And the inside of these stars are kind of recessed. So what I did is I got the little half cut wood beads and glued those into the middle because with Gorilla Glue, because I didn't know any other way to get these to, stick to this board. Rather, I would have to go around every little edge of the star, and oh my gosh, that would look horrible. Not to mention it would be so hard. So I glued a little bead inside each one of them. So once I got those in, now that one right there that was kind of underneath the paper, I kind of bent that one in half to kind of look like it had broken off. But once these little beads were set in them, it was the perfect height to glue onto the board. So I'm going to glue all my stars down. Get the last one on there. And this is how the sign turned out. I absolutely love this cabinet door. This is a cabinet door, y'all. And I absolutely love it. It looks like it's been hanging in the post office for years. So y'all know the drill. Let me know which one was your favorite in the comments. I'm also going to link my website in the description box below where you can buy any of these projects. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, y'all are beautiful and you can do hard things. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.